It's Duncan Nisbet, the roving reporter for Let's Test, here today with Bjorn. How you doing, Bjorn? You right?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good. Looking forward to the weekend. Is the weather turning for the better over there?
It is. It's sunny and it's Friday afternoon, so it feels pretty good.
That's it. The weekend is close. Fantastic. Well, we're not here for the weather report. We're here to talk about you and your session at Let's Test. So I wanted to kind of begin with trying to understand who Bjorn is, where have you come from, and how is it that you're doing a session at Let's Test?
Well, it's where to begin. I was kind of a loser actually from the beginning. I failed in a lot of things. I was a programmer for about 8, 9 years. I wasn't very good at it actually. Somehow I survived. kind But I realized I wanted something else, something different. So I started testing. And I've been testing now for 4 years. And I have kind of developed myself in a way that could never have imagined.
Cool.
Especially with the learning difficulties I've had before. I'm an introvert. I have a high sensitivity personality.
Right.
So that kind of made me limited, I would say, in a lot of ways. So when I started testing, I read a book, James Buck book about Buccaneer Scholar.
Yep.
About learning actually, and that was kind of a breaking point for me. I realized I had to think in another way so I wouldn't fail again, and I ended up in situations where I got obsessed almost with knowledge and learning, and I was reading all the time pretty much. I couldn't stop. I kind of call learning frenzy. I think James uses the term in his book. So everything has gone pretty fast during these 4 years, and I had a lot of help from people,
Yeah.
kind of guiding me. Mauricio and Eric Picard has helped me a lot, and so I ended up this last year as a software testing teacher, and it's been fantastic. And I think it was either Eric or Maria, and we were talking about Let's Test, and I was realized that I felt that I was ready for it. And then I was kind of thinking, what should I talk about? And I realized maybe the best thing I could talk about is my own experience of starting testing, and how I think, and what methods I use to develop myself and learn. So that's kind of the reason why I sent in my proposal to Let's Test.
Brilliant. So what was there a kind of a trigger? We say, like, I don't know if it translates, the straw that broke the camel's back. Was there a trigger when you were programming that made you think, actually, this is it? There's enough. There must be something better. There must be a better way. Was there any one thing, or was it like just lots of things compounding?
I remember a specific time. I was in my car driving home, and I had a bad feeling in my gut because I knew the next day I was going back,
Oh wow. Okay.
and I felt that um, I was never thinking creatively. I was only thinking to survive the next day,
Okay.
and that was a terrible feeling. So I realized I had to do something else. I have a lot of use for my experience as a programmer today, and I do program at my own time, and I occasionally have to to program tools for testing, and I kind of like that. But it was kind of the deadline and the pressure from programming, when I was a programmer, that kind of, I don't know, I got in a bad zone, or I don't know how to put it. So that was kind of the breaking point. I think that day I realized I had to do something else, and I thought about some different areas, but I choose testing.
Fantastic. And cool. And so now you're with House of Test.
No, actually not. I'm with a company called Free IT.
Right.
We're consultants, so I'm I don't know, if under consultant to House of Test or something like that.
Right.
So I work for them, and they kind of put this course I'm teaching together, and I'm very lucky to be able to work with all of those fantastic testers at House of Test. So.
How's it going? Actually, teaching testing,
It's,
doing testing.
it's awesome. Well, it's kind of in the beginning. It's being an introvert and a high sensitivity personality.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult. I had done some presentation before this, but being in front of 30 people pretty much every day, it kind of takes a toll on you,
Yeah.
and it took a lot of energy. And I kind of every day in the beginning I was kind of crashing. I had to go close for an hour and just recover. But you kind of get better at it. And it's a lot of fun. You learn so much about yourself, um, and about people, and the energy they give me. It's just fantastic. I have like the best students ever.
Oh,
It's,
fantastic.
yeah, it's uh,
So you're having the ability, or not the ability, you can recharge from your students rather than having to go to somewhere else and recharge. You can recharge whilst in the lesson.
well, it's always difficult when you're introvert because
Yeah.
it's when you're in front of a lot of people, it's kind of has a tends to take away energy, but it's when you get um, used to it, that they're always looking at you and noting down every word you say. It's the energy you see in them is kind of contagious, and yes, they give me energy. Um, but as an introvert, you always have to be a little bit aware.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, my friend's an introvert. He doesn't think he copes any better with it. He just takes more batteries.
yeah,
That's how he describes it. He just takes more batteries, and then it just takes him longer to recharge when he gets home. I thought it was
yeah.
quite a nice metaphor.
Hmm.
Fantastic. So are you? So you mentioned the word learning frenzy, which you got from Buccaneer Scholar,
Yeah.
which is the title of your talk.
Yes.
So is it? So are we going to hear more about this journey at Let's Test, and then without giving away too many spoilers, you're going to light the fire, right? Rather than you filling a bucket, you're going to
Yes.
light the fire.
Absolutely. I hope the ones who come to my lecture or will leave with a kind of desire and then a little bit, hopefully a bit more understanding of how your personal characteristics affect you and your learning. Um, and the learning principle title is when you manage it well, you kind of get up to a learning frenzy zone, and you probably won't be there all the time. You will probably crash. Sometimes you want to lock yourself up in a room for 2 weeks sometimes, and that happens, and that's happened to me a lot of times. Um, but that's kind of the goal with the lecture. I'm extremely personal, and I try to be brutally honest. I think that's the best way to give something back to the community. I will talk a lot about my experiences, the methods I use or heuristics. Um, I want to give them. This is my perspective and my story, so it won't be applied to directly to anyone else. But I want them to get an idea of how to manage their personal characteristics
Yeah.
and improve their learning.
And I've found that Let's Test really kind of provides that safe atmosphere that you can be open, you can lay bare your kind of your biggest weaknesses, and the environment is people understand that it's helpful, it's conducive, it's going to if you kind of lay it all out on the table, and then you can build back up from there. And the kind of Let's Test provides that environment. Certainly for me, I feel very comfortable about talking about my failings and my weaknesses and bringing them on the table, because there's some great people attend who have just like, well, I was going to say seemingly infinite wisdom, but that's just a rubbish statement. But they have their own life skills and experiences that they can just apply to you, and you're just like, oh, I hadn't thought about it from that angle.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because we have this fantastic community, and it was one of the things that I reacted to mostly when I started testing, that people are so helpful. Um, I remember talking to, I think it was Robert Saboren, Jonathan Bach, first time I went to Let's Test.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one who, wants to talk to them when there's a big crowd about them, but I kind of looked them up a little bit when they were like walking through rooms and stuff like that. And all the time it ended up with we having a fantastic discussion. And that they were giving me that time, for me was just fantastic. It was really surprising for me, and because I hadn't really experienced that before, and so it's just a fantastic community.
Yeah. It's really. I think I'm quite similar to you. I started my first job in 2000, and I keep saying I didn't actually start testing until 2009. I was coasting for like 8 years. It's just phenomenal, isn't it? And then you find something like Let's Test and you realise, what have I been doing? What have I been doing for the past 8-9 years of my life? This is ridiculous. There you go. We live and learn. So excellent. So yeah, so it's great that you got some of your experiences from previous conferences speaking to anyone. Is there any kind of anything you're looking forward to this year? Have you gone through the program? Are you going to be one of the 3 a.m. finishers?
Well, Fiona Charles and Rob Saboren is of course always interesting.
Yeah.
But the one thing I reacted to mostly, I think it was Ilaris. I think he has this, what did he call it? Enlightened testing talks, I think it was.
Right.
And it's like there would be like small groups talking and while walking and in the sauna. And that sounds like something that suits me very well. I work best in small groups.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm kind of terrified speaking in front of people.
Yeah.
That's my normal state. So, but it's something I've been teaching myself.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
that knocking talks with Larry sounds really like something I would appreciate.
Yeah. Have you spoke to Larry before?
I haven't. So that will be very interesting.
He's a lovely character.
I've heard so. Interesting.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All the people at Let's Test will be. It's like a family getting together almost.
Yeah. I'd said it before, and I agree with you completely. It's like coming back to the family, isn't it? Every year. The venue's fantastic. The staff are family as well.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Hey, Duncan," and you're like, "Hey." It's like,
Yeah.
it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. And what about you? What are you up to at the moment? How are you keeping yourself busy apart from preparing for Let's Test?
Well, it's I'm the director of test at the company I work for, so it's a lot with that. I'm creating a context-driven test group, so it's a lot with that. And of course, the teaching takes its toll on me. I just try to do it as well as I can and kind of survive it. To be honest, and it's something that I needed. I felt that I had to do it. So developing. So
Yeah.
but I also try to when you get appreciated for testing, it's very easy to get assignments as a test leader, and it's very easy to get one who goes to all the meetings, kind of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to get as much testing in as possible as well. So I got a homework from James actually. It's a couple of months back now, but I try to find those possibilities to get back to real testing.
Cool.
So that's what I try to do this with.
So I've got one question for you. Do you have one, or do you have any insights, like amazing aha moments from teaching testing? So for me, I really enjoy teaching testing because it really cements what I don't know, or what I don't know deeply enough.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you've got any kind of experiences.
Oh, interesting. Well, it's kind of, I can think of two. I know if it's exactly what you're after, but it's I was teaching the heuristic test strategy model, and before I've been kind of focused on understanding it and applying it. But now, after I was teaching it, I was kind of looking at it in another way. I was I was trying to figure out how to criticize it, or how to make a better model, actually.
Excellent.
And I haven't done that before, really. I kind of just, oh, this is fantastic. I must apply it. I must learn. But now all this teaching. It's making me learn everything in a depth.
Yeah.
So I can start looking at it and make models, and that's really cool. Another thing I've been like that I have been reacting to is the students, how they work. And in the beginning, they were testing really a bit shallow, and I thought that must be my goal, to make them test in another way that feels more deep. And we have these testing Fridays. We have, and those are specific times when we take a software, usually a website or web shop or something like that, and they get to test it. And it's usually because sometimes we read a lot of theory and get away a bit from testing, which is, I don't like that. So every Friday is devoted to testing, and they like it a lot. It's like we tested Google Hangouts and stuff like that. We actually have a website for it where we put the results. It's hackingfriday.com or something like that.
All right. Okay. Yeah. We'll share the link.
Yeah. And I realized that their testing has just exploded the last 2 months. They're testing at a depth that is really, really interesting and impressive. I'm actually starting to wonder if they're better testers than me right now. It's really, really cool. And I don't think they're aware of how good they are at testing right now, but they are fantastic. So it feels in the heart when you see that as their teacher. It's really, really cool. So
yeah, you've done your job.
I hope so.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bjorn. So is there anything else you want to wrap up on? So that's all I have to say. Is there anything else you want to bring to the table?
Well, we're all unique. Our minds is made out of this complex networks, and we have our own upbringing that affects us in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah.
Understanding yourself is crucial, I think, to making you able to handle your personal characteristics. It's for me, I've been doing a lot of reflection, and I'm trying to understand myself, how I work, and that has made me. It has improved my learning so much. I think it's something that everyone should think about. So that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Bjorn. I hope to see you at Let's Test. Not long now.
You too.
Yeah. And we'll catch up. We'll catch up there.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. Thanks ever so much for your time. I'll catch you later. Cheers.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.